So, we will continue our discussion on integral flow analysis, and today we will derive the expression for Reynolds transport theorem. So, recall what we said was, if there is a system, by which we mean a system of particles, and this we denoted by B, and suppose if there is a control volume, and in the control volume the particles come in and exit, then what we said was, if we choose a small volume dV, an infinitesimal volume dV, then if I look at this quantity beta rho dV, recall beta was the intensive property, rho was the density. So, beta rho dV tells us the total amount of the property in this volume dV, and if I calculate a volume integral of this, that will give me the total amount of the property B in this volume V. And if I take a partial by partial T of this quantity, this will tell me the rate of change of B in the control volume, and this is, as we discussed last time, a local rate of change. The other quantity which we are looking at is dB by dt, which is the rate of change of B of the system. And just in a minute, when I start deriving, the difference between these two things will become very, very clear. So, what the Reynolds transport theorem tells us is a relation between dB by dt and partial by partial t of beta rho dV. And if you physically try to think what is going on, there is some volume over which the particles are passing. Now, the change of this property B would happen because of two things. One is whatever locally is changing within the volume. Other than that, what will change the property B of this control volume? That change will be caused by the particles which are coming in the control volume and the particles which are leaving, because they will carry with them certain B. And this transport of B through the boundaries, once we account for that, we will get a relation between these two quantities. So, now let us see, I have this control volume which is at time t. Control volume is given by this black circle. At time t plus delta t, the control volume stays the same. So, I am, at least for the purposes of this derivation, I am assuming the control volume stays undeformed and is fixed. So, at t plus delta t, control volume stays same, whereas their particles. So, this is the black line is control volume at time t, it is also the control volume at time t plus delta t. Now, there are certain particles which occupy the control volume at time t, and these particles, they have the total property given by B. So, the system at time t is the same as the control volume at time t. Okay. Now, what happens at time t plus delta t. So, I will show that with a blue pen. Blue will show time t plus delta t. So, first thing, as we have seen, if I draw this line, the control volume stays the same. Now, the particles which are there, some particles would, let us say they are moving in the front direction, the same thing would happen if it is reverse direction. Some particles will be in the control volume, some extra particles will come in, and some of this system which is there will now no longer occupy the control volume. It will go out. So, there are some particles which will go out and some particles do not stay, and in the control volume new system has come in. So, now if I call this common region as 2, I call this region as 1 and I call this as 3. Is this very clear? 2 represents the common region, 1 represents that part of the system which has now entered the control volume, but it was not there. So, 1 was the system. What was the system? Let us now, looking at this picture, let us try to write what is the system at time t. At time t, the system and the control volume are the same. So, system will consist of B1 plus B in 2. This is the system at time t. And what is the system at time t plus delta t? T plus delta t, the particles have moved to the right. So, the particles are occupying 2 and 3. So, this will be equal to B2 plus B3, and this will be at time t, this is at time t plus delta t, and this is at time t plus delta t. So, let me write it clearly again. So, let us write what we want to find is the material derivative of B dB by dt, and this we know will be equal to B at t plus delta t of the particles minus B at t divided by delta t, limit delta t going to 0. This is the definition of dB by dt, a standard definition of a derivative, all of you know this. Now, as we have seen, B at t plus delta t is the system at t plus delta t is equal to B2 plus B3. So, this will be equal to B2 at t plus delta t plus B3 at t plus delta t. Now, what is B at the time t? What is the system at time t? System at time t is B1 at t plus B2 at t. So, I write with this plus B1, sorry, from here we have to subtract minus B1 t minus B2 at time t, and this whole thing to be divided by delta t. So, this is equal to, let us now write it clearly, B2 at t plus delta t plus B3 at t plus delta t minus B1 at t minus B2 at t divided by delta t. Now, I want to relate this to partial B by partial t in the control volume. So, partial B by partial t in the control volume consists of this black circle. So, that will be equal to B1 at time t plus delta t plus B2 at time t plus delta t minus B1 at t minus B2 at t plus delta t. So, to get this into picture, what I do is, in this side I add and subtract B1 at t plus delta t. I add and subtract this quantity. So, when I do this, what I will get is, and I will use it, I will write it with this. So, this is equal to, so this is dB by dt is equal to, now I have these 4 quantities and I will add B1 at t plus delta t and I will subtract B1 at t plus delta t. And what I am going to do is, let me rephrase this. So, this will become equal to B1 at t plus delta t, this is something I have added, it was not there earlier, plus B2 at t plus delta t, this was already there. Then from here I will subtract minus B1t minus B2t. These other 3 terms are already there, divided by delta t, and to that I will add, there was this term B3 at t plus delta t was already there, and I have to subtract this B1 at t plus delta t. So, then I will get plus B3 at t plus delta t minus B1 at t plus delta t. Now, I have already motivated you what are the first 4 terms, this is the first terms in this, if we look at it, this is nothing but, so these 4 terms when we look at it, this is nothing but the, if you look at it together with the cartoon on the control volume, B1 plus B2 is whatever is the B in this control volume, this is at t plus delta t minus B1 and B2 whatever is there in the control volume at time t. So, this I can write is equal, that means I am keeping the volume the same. So, this will become equal to, let us write this, when I add and subtract what I get is, the first term will become, this is a derivative of integral this quantity, as I said, B1 plus P2 tells us what is B inside the control volume, that is nothing but integral beta rho dV in the control volume, and because I have taken the differential at time t plus delta t minus t divided by delta t, I will get the derivative. And then I have these 2 terms, B3 at t plus delta t minus B1 at t plus delta t. Now, let us see what these 2 terms are, what I am calling as the efflux and influx terms. What is the meaning of efflux? Something which leaves, and influx is something which comes in. Efflux is something leaving out. So, now let us try to look at it. This was our control volume, this was the control volume initially, this is the t plus delta, this is at t, this is t plus delta t, I am using the same color now, this is what we called 3, this is what we called 1. So, B3 at t plus delta t, this is nothing but the, so B3 at t plus delta t is B which has come out from the right boundary. It has come out from the right boundary, that means right part of the control surface. Whatever has come out from here is what is accumulated in this region 3, and this is nothing but equal to, if you think about it, this will be equal to beta times, if you recall, this was the volume flow rate of the fluid which has come out. Now, when I multiply the volume flow rate with rho, I get the mass flow rate, and I multiply by beta, that means that will becomes equal to the total mass which has come out, the mass flow rate of that, and if I multiply this by delta t, I will get the total amount of B3. So, this B3 is the rate of B coming out of right hand boundary, and so total amount of B which comes out, this will be equal to beta times integral of rho v dot n dA along the right side times delta t, because this is mass coming out per unit time multiplied by delta t will give me the mass which comes out. And so, when I divide B3 at t plus delta t divided by delta t, I get integral on the right side rho times v dot n dA. Now, when I look at B1 at t plus delta t, now B1 at t plus delta t is basically this mass and which has come in the region 1. So, this is the mass which is coming in from boundary on left, and this is property of the mass, actually not mass, because B is that property of the mass which is coming in from the boundary on the left. So, therefore, this term becomes, now one thing what we realize is there is flow is coming in, and normal by definition points outwards. So, therefore, B1 at t plus delta t will be equal to minus integral on the left side beta rho v dot n dA, and we can generalize, instead of calling this as the left side, we can say wherever there is an inward flow we have minus beta, and instead of right side I will call this as the flow wherever flow is going out. And together when I do B3 at t plus delta t minus B1 at t plus delta t upon delta t, this will give me the total integral on the control surface of beta rho v dot n dA, because either at the control surface the flow is going out or it is coming in, and when I add all of them I club it into one term with an integral with a closed circle on control surface beta rho v dot n dA. So, therefore, when I complete this, what I get is dB by dt, or which you may also find written in the books as dB by dt, is equal to d by dt of integral beta rho dV plus integral over the control surface beta rho v dot n dA. So, this is the Reynolds transport theorem. Now, just let us take a small pause, let us try to understand the different terms here. Let us look at the left hand side. The left hand side is dB by dt at the expense of repetition. This is the rate of change of beta for all the particles which occupy the control volume at time t. So, this is, that means to calculate this, as we have explained, we follow the particles, we look at B of the particles at time t plus delta t minus B of the particles at time t divided by delta t. So, therefore, in this there is an exchange through the boundaries of the control volume, because here we are following the particles. And if we look at the right hand side, this is left hand side. In the right hand side of the Reynolds transport theorem, there are two terms. The first term is partial by partial t integral over the volume beta rho dV, which means that this is a volume integral. So, you choose a small volume dV, you integrate it over this entire volume, and assuming if this volume is fixed, then what we have is, then you take the time derivative of this total quantity beta rho dV. So, you integrate, first take this volume dV, there is this property beta density here, multiply all these three and then add it up over all points in the volume, that will give you integral, and then you take the time derivative. Now, let us see if this term can be simplified for simple cases, how it can be simplified. First thing you realize, when you have a derivative is outside and integral is inside. Now, when can we change the order? That means I am asking you, can I take d by dt inside the integral? Or rather the question should be, when can I take d by dt inside the integral? Now, if you want to take d by dt inside the integral, then v, this is a volume integral on v, should not be a function of time. If v is not equal to a function of time, then you can take d by dt inside the integral. So, in most of the cases, if your control volume is fixed, then you can take d by dt inside, and then what you are left with is volume integral of d by dt of beta rho dV. So, for fixed volume you can do it. Now, the second thing is, if beta and rho, the two cases do not depend on time, in the sense that the partial by partial t is 0, in a local sense they do not depend on time. So, then what will happen is, and this means this will happen for a steady flow, then partial by partial t of beta rho is equal to 0, and this total volume integral beta rho dV will be equal to 0. So, whenever you encounter a steady situation and if the control volume is fixed, if both these things are there, then the d by dt term in this Reynolds transport theorem becomes 0. Sometimes we get scared of these big terms, and as you will see, in most cases it is going to be 0 if we have steady flow. Now, then also what you can see is, there is a second simplification. If, let us say, beta rho may depend on time, but they do not depend on x, y, z. This implies that beta and rho, or all properties, are constant in the control volume with space. So, they may change with time, but they are constant. So, then you have d by dt of integral beta rho dV, and because these are not changing with space, what you can do is they can be pulled. So, this implies then beta rho can be pulled out of the volume integral, because they do not depend on the region in the volume, they are the same everywhere. So, this becomes equal to d by dt of beta rho times volume integral dv, and this becomes equal to partial by partial t of beta rho times the total volume. And so, even if the control volume is changing with time, but if things are not changing with space, then you will get the simplification of the first term as partial by partial t of beta rho v. So, this is also another way how we can do it. Now, let us look at the second term. This was the first term. The second term is integral over the control surface beta rho v dot n dA. Now, let me tell you one more thing without proving it, and if the control volume is moving with the velocity v s at the surface. So, this is a more complex case of a deforming control volume, where the control volume moves, control surface moves with the velocity v s. The fluid which is crossing it is moving with a velocity v, and the surface itself is deforming at the rate v s. So, now to an observer fixed to the control volume will see the velocity of the fluid which is crossing he will see the person on the control volume will see the velocity as v relative, which is equal to the actual velocity of the fluid minus the v s at the surface, and therefore, the flux term in this case becomes integral over the control surface beta rho times V r dotted with n dA. So, this is the change which will come in case of a deforming control volume, but in most cases we will not have deforming control volume, we will only have fixed control volume. So, I just thought I will also do the deforming control volume. If you have deforming, then you have to take only change which comes is in the surface term, instead of V you will get V r, and obviously if V s is equal to 0, V r is nothing but V. So, now let us look at this second term. Let us give a physical meaning. It is equal to integral over the control surface beta rho V r dotted with n dA. So, this is the net efflux. Why I use the word net is, if there is an influx then we subtract it. So, this is the net efflux of property beta through its surface C s. Now, clearly case 1 it is non-zero only if flow crosses the control volume through that part of C s. It is V r dotted with n. If the flow crosses the control volume, then only V r dotted with n will be non-zero, because n is the outward normal. If the flow is either at rest or is tangentially moving with the surface, then Vr dotted with n will be 0. So, only when the flow crosses the control volume, on that part you have to evaluate this term. The other thing which we have discussed again and again, this integral is a surface integral. So, this is a surface integral. So, it has to be evaluated only on the surface and not inside the volume. So, we only have to move around the surface and look at this term. And what we say is, if no flow crosses a part of the control surface, the contribution of this term will be 0 irrespective of the value of beta, because it has to be multiplied by V dotted with n. Okay? So, this is the first simplification we can get, and this will happen in many problems where the control volume is touching a solid surface. This happens when control volume edge coincides with a solid surface which is non-porous. So, obviously, fluid cannot cross out, and if it cannot cross out, this term will be 0. Secondly, if we have, so case B of the simplification, if we have a one dimensional approximation. If we have a one dimensional approximation, then what happens is on the area A. So, now control surface consists of the total area. On some part we say there is one dimensional approximation. This will mean that properties, all properties, so properties are uniform across the area A. And other thing which we see is, so if this is, suppose fluid is crossing like this and this is the area A. So, if properties are uniform, then we will get something. And the second thing is, in addition to this, if the flow velocity is parallel to n or minus n, which means it is actually velocity is perpendicular to the area. So, then in this case V dot n becomes equal to V if there is outflow, and V dot n becomes minus V if there is inflow. And since it is uniform across the area, what we get is integral beta rho V dot n dA becomes equal to beta times rho VA or minus beta times rho VA. This is if there is outflow and if there is inflow. So, here two assumptions have been made. One is that velocity and beta and rho are not changing with the area, so they can be pulled out of the integral, and V dot n is either V or minus V, then this can be done. So, let me just show you with an example. Suppose if there is a pipe of area A and the velocity here is equal to V, and if this is the area here is A, and if 1D flow, then integral beta times rho V dot n dA will become equal to beta times rho VA, okay, because velocity is uniform. But suppose if in the same pipe let us say this is a circular pipe and velocity is a function of r. It is 0 at the pipe edge and it increases and it is some function of r. Now, we cannot pull out velocity, we cannot pull out velocity from the integral. Velocity cannot be pulled out. And so, you have to now in this case you have to integrate and you have to carry out the integral of beta times rho v dot n dA. Of course, again if the area is perpendicular to the velocity, then v dot n can be changed as v or minus v, but you still have to integrate because v is changing with area, it is not constant. So, this sort of a simplification can also be used. So, now having seen this, this is what we have as the Reynolds transport theorem. Now, let us start with the applications, and the first topic which comes is law of conservation of mass. And in fluid mechanics, this is also got a special name, it is called the continuity equation, and what we are looking at now is the integral form of continuity equation. We sometimes use CE. So, we are looking at the integral form of the continuity equation, which is also the law of conservation of mass. Now, to do this, as you will see, we choose the property B as the total mass, and corresponding to this, as we have discussed earlier also, beta will be 1. So, therefore, now I insert this in Reynolds transport theorem. So, I get dm by dt or dm depending on whichever book you are following is equal to partial by partial t of integral beta rho dv. Beta is 1. So, I get rho dv plus integral over the control surface, beta is again 1 rho times v dot n dA. So, this is the mass balance equation. This is Reynolds transport theorem applied to mass. Now, here we now ask what does physics, laws of physics for mass conservation. What is the law of physics for mass conservation? The law of physics says mass is a constant, dm by dt is equal to 0, and this is we are in classical mechanics range. We are not in the range where that is much less than speed of light. And also we are there are no nuclear reactions, so energy is not being, mass is not being converted into energy. So, dm by dt is equal to 0. So, this apply dm by dt is equal to 0 to Reynolds transport theorem with beta is equal to 1, and this gives us 0 is equal to and this is the mass balance equation for a control volume. So, this is a simple mass balance equation, and we can have some simple cases. Case 1, if volume V is fixed. If volume V is fixed, then you get integral over the volume integral partial rho by partial t plus integral of rho v dot n dA is equal to 0. And then we have a special case when rho, if density is treated as constant, this is a case we will be doing again and again, and this will be valid most of the times except in the last part of the course when we do talk of incompressible flows. If density is constant, such flows are called incompressible flows. And if we have incompressible flow, then generally speaking, if you see for liquids, this is a good assumption always. Unless you are in a very harsh conditions, this is a good assumption that density is constant. Unless suppose you heat it up very high when it starts converting into gas, then density will not be constant, but assuming temperature changes are not large, this is a good assumption. Now, what can we say for gases? Gases look like they are more compressible, they can be compressed easily. For flow of gases, what we will show is that there is a number called Mach number, which is equal to V by C, where V is the typical speed in the flow and C is the speed of sound in that fluid. So, it could be a liquid or gas, and if Mach number is much less than 1, then gas flow can be treated as incompressible, and much less than 1 actually can be extended, and for all practical purposes, if Mach number is less than 0.3, then we can treat the flow as incompressible. Just to give you a feel, the speed of sound in air, the speed of sound is about 340 meters per second. That means, if you are less than 100 meters per second in flow of air, you can assume the density to be constant and the flow to be incompressible. Now, let us take an example of mass balance. Let us say there is a container in which there is fluid. So, fluid there is area A1, area A2, area A3, and we have fluid of density rho comes in through inlets 1 and 2 with velocities v1 and v2 and exits at outlet 3. Find V3. So, here what we do is let us make a small, I will use red color. If I make a control volume, I show the control surface with the red color, which is cutting A1 just perpendicular to the velocity, cutting here. On this control volume, of course, it has been assumed that velocities are uniform across areas. So, now if I apply the mass balance, now let us see if velocity v1 and velocity V2 are given, and if they are constant uniform across the areas, then what we will expect is that this flow, it comes in from this part, it goes from the other end, with time nothing is changing. So, this shows a steady situation, because we have this fluid which is full, there is no filling in or something, flow comes in from two inlets, it exits at one outlet. So, now our equation is d by dt of volume integral of rho dV plus integral over the control surface rho times V dot n dA is equal to 0. So, therefore, the first term here, since volume is fixed and rho is not equal to rho of time, we write this d by dt volume integral rho dV is equal to, first you can take it inside the volume, partial rho by partial t dV is equal to 0. Now, we have the second term, integral now this term is non-zero. To calculate this term, we have to mentally go around this red dotted line, this whole surface, and calculate V dot n dA at each point on this surface. And what we find is the non-zero components are only at 1, 2 and 3. Everywhere else fluid is in touch with solid surface, so no flow crosses. So, now when I calculate rho V dot n dA minus rho V 1 A 1 is the contribution at surface 1. Contribution at surface 2 is minus rho V 2 A 2 and plus rho V 3 A 3 is equal to 0. So, this is what I get, and from here I can get the quantity. If V 1 and V 2 are given, I will get V 3 or the other way around. Notice rho also cancels out, this actually becomes V 1 A 1 plus V 2 A 2 is equal to V 3 A 3. So, this is what we get, and sometimes if we have a control volume one entry and one exit, and both of them have uniform and there is 1D flow. So, then I get this is A 1, this is A 2. So, I will get minus V 1 A 1 plus V 2 A 2 is equal to 0, and this gives the form V 1 A 1 is equal to V 2 A 2. And this is often called the continuity equation. You may have seen this in some of the books, etc., and this is how one finds this. So, this is the continuity equation which is there. Next, let us take another simple example, filling of a fluid in control volume. Let us take a tank which is being filled. The inlet area is A 1, the inlet velocity is V 1, and let this be the area of the tank, and so we have fluid which is being filled in the tank. So, we have to find the rate of increase of height of fluid in the tank. It is sort of fairly obvious to some of you who would have seen this. Now, what we do is let us let control volume consist only of the fluid. So, that means I will take a control volume which is of red color, which coincides with the fluid and always is with the fluid. So, in this case what we find is this control volume is a deforming control volume, because as water fills in, since my control volume is coinciding with water surface, as water fills in, the volume of the control volume also increases. So, now when I calculate d by dt of volume integral rho dV plus integral over the control surface rho v dot n dA is equal to 0. So, then what I will get is this, the first term now given this control volume will not be 0. This is d by dt of rho dV. So, this term becomes, now if density is constant I can pull it out. So, this will become equal to rho times partial by partial t of volume integral dV. So, this becomes rho times partial v by partial t, and the rate of change, if this is h, this is the height which is a function of time, which is what you want to find. You want to find dH by dt. So, this rho dV by dt will become equal to rho times d by dt, and the volume is equal to h times a tank. So, this becomes equal to dH by dt rho times a tank. Now, the other term is integral over the control surface Now, in this control volume which I have shown with the red, which is deforming, at which surface is fluid crossing the control volume? The fluid is crossing only on one. At the top part, because the control volume deforms, fluid is not crossing the control volume. So, therefore, this term only contribution comes from 1, and this will be equal to minus rho V 1 A 1. And so, when I do this, when I do the total thing, when I add these two, I get dH by dt rho A t minus rho V 1 A 1 is equal to 0, and from here we can get dH by dt. This will be equal to V 1 A 1 by area of the tank, and this is what something which you may have intuitively guessed. So, this is, now there can be a method 2 for solving the same problem. Method 2 would be, now what I do is I choose a control volume almost the same as before, but this control volume is a fixed control volume, and I keep it. So, the fluid is flowing in like this with V 1 A 1, and now I keep a fixed control volume below the height of the water. So, I choose it somewhere in the water, but just below that. Now, this is a fixed control volume. So, in this fixed control volume, the volume integral term d by dt, this term will be 0. But now, on surface term, integral Cs rho v dot n dA, there will be two parts, from 1 and from 2. The part from 1 will be minus rho V 1 A 1, and the part from 2 where the fluid is going up, this will be rho V 2 times A tank A2 is A tank. And what we will get is, when we get this, rho V2 A2 will be, or A tank is equal to rho V1 A1. And we know V2, the velocity of this interface 2 is nothing but dH by dt, and we get the same result as we have got before, but by using a different notional. So, we will continue on mass conservation and start momentum conservation in the next class. Thank you.